Hi boys and girls. This video is on perimeter of a square. Before we begin, let's review what the word perimeter means. Perimeter is the distance around a closed polygon. As you can see right here, I've got a square here. To find my perimeter, I would find my distance around the outside of it and add up those lengths, the distance around a polygon. Now, in 4th grade, we study squares and we study rectangles. This video is going to focus on a square, and more importantly, this video is focusing on the formula for finding perimeter of a square. Before we start to talk about how our formula is made, how we came up with it, and how it's used, we're going to talk about what a formula is. A formula is a mathematical rule expressed with symbols. Sometimes a formula will also have variables for your unknowns or variables that might represent some part of your formula, some part of your equation. Formulas are made so that we can plug in numbers where they need to go and come up with what we need to come up with in a quickly, more efficient way. So before we begin, we have to understand what a square is. What are the characteristics of a square? I have a square right here. The two things you need to understand your formula is you have to understand that a square has 4 sides, and you also have to understand that your sides are equal in length. That is key in understanding how your formula for perimeter of a square works. You have to understand these things. Now, on our reference chart, we've been using this side for our customary and metric measure and our conversions. On the back of it, we've got perimeter and we have area, and we have formulas listed for that. So in 4th grade, we take a look at formulas and we kind of begin to understand what they are and what they represent. Today, we're going to focus on perimeter of a square. And if I go across, I can see that my formula says P equals 4S. Now that's very small, so I'm going to rewrite that on my board, and we're going to talk about what that means and how we come up with that. Now, if I come over here to my square, I know that I can count my sides. These are my inch tiles, so if I count up this side, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This bottom here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And by the way, these are in inches, so I'm going to write that unit of measure. On this side, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches. And across my top, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches. Now I know that this is a square because all 4 sides are equal in length. Now I know that I can find my perimeter by adding up my sides. Well, how many sides do we have? We have 4. So I know that perimeter is side plus side plus side plus side. I can plug in my numbers for my sides. And if I do the math, 5, 10, 15, 20, I know that my perimeter is 20 inches. But let's talk about what this formula is and what it means. Let's talk about each part of it. To begin with, let's talk about that letter P. What do you think the P stands for? Yes, that P stands for perimeter. Now, I don't want to write that word out every time, so we can just write a P to represent that word. P, perimeter. Now we have our equal sign. Now, the rest of my formula, we've got 2 parts to it. We have the number 4 and we have a letter S, and they are side by side. So first we're going to talk about the number, then the letter, and then we're going to talk about what it means when you see something side by side. Let's talk about that 4. So in our formula for a square, we have the number 4, What do you think that 4 represents? 4 sides to a square. Now, let's talk about this letter S. What do you think that letter S stands for? That letter S stands for your sides. So we have sides. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about what it means when you see a number right next to a letter. Now, when you see those side by side, that is a algebraic expression, and it means that you are going to multiply. For S, when you see a number right next to a variable, that means you're going to multiply these two parts. So if I use this formula and plug in what I know, I can find my perimeter in a faster, more efficient way. So let's go back down. My perimeter was my P. 4 sides to a square. And the reason I can multiply it by my sides is right here. We already know that it's side plus side plus side plus side. And we know that a square has equal sides, 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5. Well, those 5s are all the same. Isn't that repeated addition? What's another way that we can use repeated addition? Repeated addition means multiplication. It's the same thing. Now, for that S, I don't need to put in all of my sides. I just need to put in one side. So I'm actually going to take that S off. We just need to put in the length of one side, and the length of one side was 5 inches. So if I do the math, my perimeter is 4 times 5, which is 20. And then let's put our unit of measure back on. So again, the formula for a square, P stands for perimeter, 4 stands for the 4 sides of a square, and S stands for the length of just one side. I can take the length of one side, which is 5 inches, and multiply it times 4, because in a square, all 4 sides are equal in length. So 4 sides times 5 inches on each side is 20 inches. Perimeter equals 4S. And that is the formula for a square.